Hey there! Today's video is about the importance of pronouns, or more about the importance of pronouns in the workplace. Recently, I've had the opportunity to present this information to a large audience within my company, and it was very well received. I got to share my story of being a trans woman in the workplace and tie it in with how important pronouns are. And I thought that I'd like to share that presentation on this channel. So this video is for other companies, their leaders, HR, their diversity, equity, and inclusion team, or anyone else looking to educate themselves on the subject. I hope you enjoy.
It's a pleasure to introduce Taylor Van Malson, an OSR out of K4M. As she has volunteered today to share her Be Brave story, as well as some extremely insightful information around the proper use of pronouns and the meanings behind them. So with that, Taylor, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Thanks, Brett. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Taylor Van Malson, an OSR in West Michigan. And it's my privilege to share some of my story with you today and talk about the importance of pronouns. So just a little background about myself. I started Grainger in 2013 in the warehouse of our local branch. Shortly after, I moved on to a customer service role, answering phone calls for about a year and a half. Then I transitioned over to my current role in 2016 as an OSR. But that wasn't my last transition, as in 2019, at a team meeting where we were all together in person, I got to speak about Grainger's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by the end, I came out to my team as a transgender woman. Some people already knew, including my boss and supervisor, but I wasn't going to get a better opportunity than when I was already talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then those words are somewhat similar, so let's break them down quick here. Diversity is about building a team comprised of the full range of human differences and valuing what makes us unique. This is talking about identities like race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, age, and so on. Equity is ensuring the fair treatment, opportunity, and advancement without the barriers of biased policies and practices. And inclusion is creating a sense of belonging for people to feel understood and safe to share ideas and differences because their unique identities are recognized and accepted. Now, I always lived these ideas before, but when it came to being my authentic self, I suddenly had to worry that everyone else around me would too, especially as a remote team member. Thankfully, though, it went well. Grainger is very LGBTQ plus friendly. We've even scored a perfect 100% on the Corporate Equality Index, or CEI, for the past 6 years in a row. We don't discriminate, but celebrate our differences and even actively participate in the LGBTQ plus community, including walking in the Chicago Pride Parade and having our own business resource group dedicated to making Grainger the employer of choice for LGBTQ plus individuals. Within the last year or two, I joined that group, the Equality Alliance Business Resource Group, or EABRG. Recently, we've been trying to stress the importance of pronouns, and we've been working with our HR team on an initiative to implement personal pronouns in our email signatures. So what are pronouns and why are they significant? A pronoun is a word that replaces a noun in a sentence. So that pronoun replaces the noun that is your name or how someone refers to you, so they don't have to keep repeating your name over and over. She, his, and they are all examples of common pronouns. He and she are gendered pronouns, where she, her, and hers is typically used by people who identify as female, and he, him, and his is typically used by people who identify as male. And some people prefer to use gender-neutral pronouns. Gender-neutral pronouns like they and them are typically used by people who identify as non-binary or genderqueer. Nothing may be more personal than the way in which people refer to us through our name and pronouns. Using a person's chosen name and the extension of that, their pronouns, is a form of mutual respect and basic courtesy. So I'm going to give 5 actions you can take when it comes to using pronouns. Firstly, figure out and select the pronouns that you identify with. You know how you identify. It's not even preferred pronouns. They are your pronouns. Secondly, to go after the first one, always be respectful of others' pronouns. If someone takes the time to let you know their pronouns, respect them and use them. Like in the first action, others can't tell you your pronouns, so you can't tell others theirs. It's not up to you to decide their identity. Third, you should never assume. Usually we interpret or read a person's gender based on their outward appearance and expression and assign a pronoun. But our reading may not be a correct interpretation. I'm not sure if anyone from my team is on right now to verify or if anyone can see the slide up on the screen, but I bet by looking at that picture of what I used to look like, or the mask I wore, you may not have known that I actually identified as a woman. And hearing my voice, you might not have assigned me as a woman. I know that, and I hate my voice for that very reason. Going through drive-thrus, for example, can be humorous, but usually just leaves me feeling bad about being misgendered. Remember, if you make an assumption about someone without asking, then the onset will fall on them to correct you, which could be very uncomfortable and upsetting. Fourth, ask questions and practice. It's okay to ask questions. That's how we create an inclusive space for others and prevent misgendering. And practice, because this can all be very difficult. I've experienced this firsthand, both in referring to other people and people referring to me. People knew me for so long as the he, him Taylor that getting used to the she, her Taylor is difficult, as I kept my given name. But knowing people are putting in the effort is what matters most. With time and practice, it'll hopefully one day just be normal to use my proper pronouns. And going back to the drive-through or phone call example, maybe practice using phrases like yes please instead of yes sir, or thank you kindly instead of thank you ma'am, when talking to someone you don't really know. And lastly, use pronouns, the main reason for me speaking today. You don't have to be queer to self-identify. Declaring your own personal pronoun is a great way to create an inclusive culture for all. To me, just the act of putting your pronouns in your email signature can show you're a safe person for an LGBTQ+ individual like myself to be around. Since coming out, I've been very open with my transition in hopes of helping and educating people, but being so public with my accounts is not always so rewarding. You'd be shocked to see the inboxes of my social media accounts, from the people who like me a little too much and think I owe them things, to people who hate me for existing and say that the world would be better off without me. But worst of all is when they bring my daughter into it and say she'd be better off without me. Now, I know people are generally more brave behind a screen, but that doesn't mean I don't worry every day. I worry that when I'm in the field, or in public in general, I will come across one of those people. I avoid restrooms because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable or upset. And I only go at the few customers I have that have a gender-neutral guest restroom. Grindr may be a safe place, but when I visit a customer, I never know who I'm going to run across. But maybe the customer feels the same way when we enter their building. That's why I think it's so important to use pronouns in your email signature. For me, just seeing your pronouns in your signature can show that you're an ally, that you're someone who embraces diversity, and that although maybe in a million years you could never understand how someone's gender can be different than their birth sex, that you are still a safe person and that you don't discriminate against people who are different than you, because we're all human and there's no right way to do it.
And in the end, I just wrapped up and handed it over to the next presenter on our call. Hopefully you got some useful information out of this video. Please feel free to share it with whoever you think could benefit from it. Also, if you have any other questions, please post them in the comments. I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks.